So it seemed really long, but it was only a few minutes. And I finally firmly decided and heard myself say back, no, he's not worth dying for. And the moment that I said that, I meant it. I felt my heart, I don't know, it was filled with so much strength in knowing that I wasn't giving up on my life, but that in that decision, what is the truth behind it, right? What is worth losing your life for? The people that are worth losing my life for are the people who love me. And I had to ask myself, well, is there any love here? And there wasn't. He wasn't someone that loved me. Why would I give up my precious life for someone that doesn't love me? I would lay my life down for my children, for my brothers and their families, for my parents. But, this is a person that I knew and I never felt loved by. Why would I give up something so precious to God and not fulfill the purpose that I was created here for? And so, with that firm decision, like, I felt like a light bulb went on, and or like my world came into color, and the sun shone on my face, and I really felt like a very strong affirmation that I had said the right thing. It was what I needed to verbalize. It is what I needed to see through the words. And I realized right then that I was never ever going to think about suicide again. I was never ever going to consider it, consider giving my life for someone who doesn't love me, for a cause that isn't worth my life. And that was the end of any thoughts that I ever had of taking my life. And from that moment on, it shifted my perspective. And pretty much, the next day, I mean, I went to bed that night and I woke up with this like amazing enlightenment of how the heck I'm going to take back what I had lost, start claiming what I felt I deserved, right? And such as happiness, such as joy. Everything was sapped out of me for so many years that I was hungry for love, for joy, for happiness. Um, and when I say love, I mean that in the self love sense, because that was the only focus that I had on at the time. So that third event in my life was what shifted my feelings on depression. It started a roller coaster for me to heal myself. Um, Now, the way that I did heal was prior to that event, from the moment I got married, I have daily talks with God, daily prayers, nightly prayers. I can't tell you how many prayers I've prayed and how many conversations I've had with God about the situation that I was in, about the feelings that I was feeling, and just pouring my heart out day after day after day, just asking for clarity, asking for strength, and asking for freedom. I really was. And I thought that that freedom would come at my own hands. But, that day, it was the voice that I believe, the voice of God, or it's the Holy Spirit that stayed in me and said, let's think about this. The kids didn't even come to my mind that third time. It was me. It was my life. What I'm truly giving up. I'm not giving up my kids. I'm not giving up anything else. I'm giving me up, and I had to ask myself, I'm giving up on myself if I were to complete this. And so that completely changed my mind and how I looked at depression after that. So, like I said, it started on a roller coaster to get better, to overcome it. One of my favorite Bible verses is anything is possible in Christ. And with that in my mind, I knew that I was going to overcome depression. It might not be overnight, but I was going to continually seek ways and get better. I was going to overcome this because it was so huge. And without any external third party help, I only had God to rely on. And that one quote, that verse always stayed with me, that I can overcome it because Christ is my strength. God is my strength. I'm going to overcome this. And eventually I did. I am happy to say that I really haven't thought about depression ever since my divorce. It's not going to be the same for everyone. And I do believe that everyone, no matter what stage of life they're in, they will inevitably be touched by depression, whether it's at a small volume or big or anywhere in between in the spectrum of depression. It's going to touch our lives. And it's something that, as a church and as a community, there really isn't a lot of resources on it. And so I don't want my generation and the ones coming after me to continue to believe in the taboo of mental health not being talked about. And so I have always believed that I cannot be of service to God or to my family or community if I'm unwell. And in a previous video, I had said, marriage really wasn't my dream, right? I just wanted to serve God in the capacity that I had, and I just wanted to do missions trips. I wanted to go overseas. I wanted to be a missionary. And even as a young child, I knew that I had to be healthy, and I didn't know how much in that area of health it would I would come to understand. But, as a preteen wanting to follow in Jesus' footsteps and evangelize nations and peoples, I wanted to be healthy. And now looking back after going through all that, in the marriage, I knew that I couldn't be of service if I'm unwell, whether it's mental, whether it's physical, or whether it's self-harming. I need to be well, and that is spiritually well, that is emotionally and mentally well. And so that was really important to me. And so that is what happened. And after that third event, I just went on a very strong, uh, solitary mission to overcome depression. And I prayed a lot about it. I I gave thanks a lot about it for having been shown the real purpose of why I kept thinking about it, why I wanted it, which were for all the wrong reasons for me. And so I don't think about it anymore. I don't consider it. Do I still get sad? Yes, I do, right? I'm still human, but it no longer, the difference between now and then is that it's not lingering for weeks on end or months on end. Before it was years, right? But it was a very subdued depression to where I just kept covering it. I just kept pretending that it wasn't there. I kept pushing it back because there was so much more that needed my attention to take care of. And so I just ignored it. But now, if I get sad, it's gone in a day or two. I don't, I honestly don't even remember the last time I felt sad. Um, Actually, I do. It was about my kids, but it was something. It's not in my control, but it doesn't linger, and so that's how I knew that I have truly, really understood depression and how it affects me, and I really understand that it is now no longer a stronghold over me, and that I can process things in a healthier way. I can see things for what they are, who they are, and I don't let it affect me in a way that it's going to hinder my day-to-day activities, hinder my health. And so that is a short blurb on my depression. The other side effects that I wanted to touch on briefly is overthinking. That was something that I never had before I got married. And in the course of my marriage, I became an overthinker, which is something that is very, very terrible. For those that don't overthink, I don't think they could really comprehend just how hindering that is to someone who overthinks. And I fell into that category as well. I overthought everything because the reason for that was feeling like no matter what I did, it could never be good enough. It was never enough to, I don't know, to garner my ex-husband's attention or his love, his need to, or not need, his willingness to provide, right? And I don't mean that in a financial sense, not only financial, but emotional provision, intellectual provision, everything that really, as a co-partnership, equal heirs of the kingdom, right, heaven, that we ought to respect one another in that equality. And I just felt like I could never be good enough. I have said this before, that in our culture, all the women are trained in a very similar Stepford wife system, to where perfectionism is drilled into us, right? How to be the perfect daughter-in-law, how to be the perfect hostess. I mean, I fill those shoes like it's second nature to me. You know, you can put me anywhere in any environment and I will adapt and I will be above it and I will go above it and beyond it, because that's just something that's drilled into us from a young age. And I did all of that and more. You know, I was a provider. There was a time when I was waking up at 5 to iron dress shirts and put pleats in pants, and also packing lunch, you know, seeing him out the door before going back to sleep, and then getting up for my own time to work. I mean, I did so much, and it was never enough. And that led me to thinking, right? What is wrong with me? That's, you know, those little, and all it takes is just a little voice to whisper doubt into your mind. Like, what is wrong with you? What are you not doing right? Um, you know, why is he so unhappy or displeased? Why does he resent me? Why does he seem so bitter toward me? Why doesn't he show me any kindness? So it all turns to me, like, what is wrong with me, right? Because the average person, I mean, the way I look at it is, you know, kindness is something that should be automatic, especially for Christians, right? This was a supposed Christian home that I had married into, Christian family, but I will say this unapologetically, that I knew no kindness in the span of my marriage with this family, and it really shook my, I don't know, my perspective of Christians, because everything starts within the home, right? And you're to mirror that outward. But when all I see 24/7 is, um, you know, just terrible things and questionable things, I just didn't know what to think. But anyways, you know, there were so many behaviors that just made me think it must be me, right? I'm young and I'm dumb, and I have no one else to turn to. I'm in a town of no friends, no family members. This ex-husband was the only person that I should have known and been able to rely on, but I couldn't. And so um, once he stonewalled me, all I could do was talk to myself, right? Which is not the best case scenario when you're starting to overthink, because now you're having conversations in your own head, like, oh man, just arguing back and forth, just crazy, right? Yes, it's a crazy thought, that I was so alone, that I was so neglected, that I had to reason with myself. And I will say this, right, about married people. The reason, one of the reasons that marriage can be sustained, or at least that I see sustainable marriages is it's two people coming together and being able to give comfort to one another, especially when one is having doubts, the other is the strength, right? Is the shoulder to lean on. But not having had that in my marriage, I don't know what that's like. But I do know that that's what I should have seen, is what I should have expected, which I did, but it was never there. And so, just having those thoughts like, why aren't I good enough? What is he thinking? What is he feeling? Because all I see is a wall, right? I didn't even know that that's what stonewalling was, but I just felt like he was a wall, that I was coming up against a wall every time I tried to say something. And, when someone gives you the silent treatment and they don't give you any indication of what they're feeling or thinking, it's very, very hard and a very terrible situation to be in. Um, because now your mind is thinking all sorts of things, right? It could be maybe good or it could be really bad stuff, like, so yeah. So overthinking was one thing that had, I don't know how to describe it. It had, I guess, set me back a while. I am also very happy to say that that is on the mend. It is on the healing end. Towards the end of 2022, I I ran into a situation that showed me how to stop overthinking. I can't say that without telling you the situation, but I know this is a little embarrassing, but I will just be transparent. I I had met someone, uh, and in that interaction, it was very brief, but this interaction with this individual basically cold turkey stopped me from overthinking, because in this day and age, as you're getting to know people, it's text messages almost 99% of the time. I personally still prefer phone calls. If someone's interested in getting to know me, I can only text so much, and there's really very little that can be conveyed through text messages. But anyways, this individual would take a very long time to respond back to me, and to the point where I'm like, what is going on? And then almost like a switch came on, and once again, I felt that comforting voice say, don't think about it. And I was like, what? But again, the voice is like, don't think about it. Go on with your day. Don't dwell on it. Don't think about it. Just go on with your day. You have a full schedule yourself, and don't think about it. And I was like, how can I not think about it? It's been hours, or it's been a whole day. What is going on here? I left a question and it's gone unanswered. Why aren't they answering? What are they doing? Is it me, right? It's going back to that. But no, and I have to give credit where it's due. I do believe it's always the Holy Spirit guiding me, telling me, don't think about it. You know, if they care, they will write. And if they don't, you know that they don't care. Therefore, it's not worth your energy to dwell on it. And with that, I was just like, you are so right. You know, it, I have been saying this for maybe all of last year, learning my own energy and finding worthy places to use it toward, whether it be people or places or things. And towards the end of 2022, that was where I was going. I knew I was arriving at something really wonderful for my life and for myself. And having met this individual right at the end of it, I knew that this was where God wanted me to be, is where He was leading me to overcome another hurdle that is hindering me from being all that I can be, right? And so, with that interaction, it was very brief, and I would expect that something like overthinking that has been such a huge part of my life, it would take longer to overcome. But In essence, it didn't. It was very, very quick, and I'm so thankful for it. I cannot tell you how grateful I am to God for always watching over me and rescuing me again and again, and showing me that, oh, this is a red flag. This is another red flag. These are individuals that are leading you back to an environment that you got out of, and you need to distance yourself from these individuals. And so that's what helped me step back, cut off any ties, and moved on with my life. Because the whole purpose of being rescued is so that I don't fall back into the place that I needed to be helped and rescued, right? And so that's how I look at it. Um, if God has rescued me from this terrible place that I was in, why would I go back to that, right? I knew that it was bad. I was the one calling for help. I finally got helped and rescued, and now I'm going to just kind of walk myself back into that? No. I am better than that. I am more loved than I know. And that really helped me stop overthinking. Um, and oh man, I can't tell you how happy that made me. Like I was I was singing again. I was really, really happy. It's overthinking sucks. And I for me, when I meet people, I want wonderful things to remember them by. I want to be able to say, oh, this person contributed something wonderful in my life, and they helped me grow. They helped me with this or that. Um, but this individual, yes, in a way, they did contribute to helping me overcome overthinking. But I guess, the memory that's tied to that person is they were so lacking in their attention and care and just the blatant disrespect of me that it helped me overcome overthinking. And that is the bottom line of, for me anyways, and probably has some truth to any overthinker, is the bottom line is the disrespect that other people show us. This person showed me just such a disrespectful behavior that for a long time, that's that's all that I have been dealt. That's the card. And so having interacted with this individual for just a brief moment there, it kind of like opened another um, window for me to go back and see all the times that I was disrespected and all the behaviors that points to disrespect or points to dishonor and um, basically, everything that could lower you as a human being, that that was there. That happened for me. And not being able to label those feelings, put names to those feelings, I didn't even know that I was being disrespected or that I was being dishonored. Um, I really didn't. And then, coming to this stage in this season of my life, having met this person who treated me so horribly, I was like, wow, this is disrespect at a level that I will never ever tolerate again. And so pretty much overnight, overthinking was out the window, and I did not think twice. Whenever this person would respond, um, I was able to say, yeah, have a nice day, and moved on with my life. I really did. I don't have any regrets, and it's unfortunate, because I love to meet people, and when I do, I really want them to stay because I've lived the first half of my life already, and I don't want to live the rest of mine having terrible feelings about myself or being disrespected or being mistreated. And so, yes, I'm weeding out the people that and the things that aren't uplifting to me in this season of my life and forward. And I'm just not gonna have any tolerance for that. So that is where I'm at. Overthinking is also another thing that, yeah, it's on its way out the window. I can see it clearer now. I have a better understanding of it. And when I catch myself doing it, I will just look at my reflection and have another pep talk with myself, and then I go on with my day. So that's 2 out of 3. The last one that I just want to touch upon is chronic insomnia. I know I don't really talk about it, but this was also something that plagued me for a very long time, from my marriage to very recent. I still struggle with chronic insomnia. This is self-diagnosed. Again, should have probably seen someone about it, but never happened. And so now I'm in a good place to really just reflect and think back on my life and where I've been, where I'm at right now, and where I want to go. And one of those things that I want to go is having awesome sleep, having a good night's sleep, and really looking into this insomnia issue that I had. Now, it all started when, right, stress from the marriage, right? I said early on, there were problems almost right away. It it probably wasn't even subtle. My stress level was probably at a maybe at like very low, and then the moment I got married it jumped and it just kept going up and up. But because of how busy I was and the demands on me to be a provider, to be I don't know how to describe it, to catch up, right? To be okay, to stay above water, was so immense that I didn't have time once again to address the stress that I was under. So, without an outlet, right? The ex husband who should have been my shoulder to lean on, who should have been my outlet to de stress and to be able to help me de stress by problem solving with me, absolutely absent. So, I had to once again rely on myself to problem solve. First of all, identify the problem by myself and then problem solve for myself. And so stressful, very stressful. It caused me to stay up at night because the only time that I didn't feel stressed was when everyone else was asleep and I could be quiet with my thoughts and alone. Um, Sometimes that wasn't good either because that alone time is the overthinking time. It was the very sad time, so depression, overthinking going on, and then throw in insomnia. Why not, right? Stir it up a little bit, a little mixture in there. So that was me, alone at night, thinking about how depressed I was, how sad and unhappy I was, and then leading right into overthinking of what's wrong with me. Why is this happening to me? Why me, God? I have asked that so many times. I have done everything right in my life, in my youth, everything textbook straight, never strayed. I was such a good girl, good believer. Oh man, but why? Why is this happening to me? And trying to wait for a reply to that, of course, was never coming at the time, right? It was so silent at night, and I just never slept early again. I Oh man, it was so bad. um, Again, mainly due to stress that caused me to stay up at night, therefore jacking up my sleep schedule. I never slept before midnight. There were times when I wouldn't sleep until 2 or 3 a.m. And then be able to get up at 6 and function at work full day, come home, do everything that I needed to, stay up again even when I didn't need to, just to dwell on thoughts. And it was bad. And it was months, and then it became years. And even after the divorce, I still couldn't manage to sleep early. So that was something that I have been struggling with. But I'm smiling because the last couple of weeks I have finally averaged 7 hours of sleep. Um, and that in itself is a miracle. And so I am so thankful once again. It is God just rescuing me, just right now I feel the most loved I have ever felt. And I know it's funny because I am happily single right now, but I feel the most loved because I don't know, I wouldn't ask to be anywhere other than where I am right now in this season of my life, to have had so little, to have known so little in kindness or love. And in this season right now, I do feel all of that and so much more. And I'm really excited to put these things behind me because the future is looking bright for me. I am excited for what's to come, and I want to get through these next few videos when I touch upon the abuse again, because there's wonderful things that have been happening, and I want to continue to convey that faith, that hope, that is still out there. And whatever you are going through or someone you know is going through, you know, these tough times is just temporary. Although the temporariness may feel like a really long time, but with every beginning, there's always an ending, right? And so, to conclude, I just want to thank God again for rescuing me from these very, oh gosh, the word is slipping me. You know, these side effects have been so hindering on my growth, my emotional and intellectual growth, that having put them aside and gotten over them, it has really changed me in so much better ways. Um, so I'm excited to see what more is coming in my future, how other ways to grow that is coming my way, and um, that's what I want to share today. So thank you for staying through it all. I appreciate you. If you haven't, please subscribe. I appreciate that. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Shinjiro. Bye.